I never thought I'd be the one to tear a family apart, but here we are. I'm 27, engaged to the man I love, and my own sister-in-law has been banned from every family event because of me. And honestly, I don't feel guilty. Let me start from the beginning. My fiancé's name is George. He's 38, a little older than me, but we click in a way I didn't think was possible. When I met him 2 years ago, I had no idea he'd dated my older brother's wife. That's the part that gets messy. My brother David is 35 and he married Ella about 4 years ago. They moved fast, really fast. Ella and George had a brief thing, 6 months, maybe a little less. She wanted marriage and kids, he wasn't ready. He was going through a rough patch back then, partying hard, doing drugs, not exactly stable. They broke up, and within a year she was with David, engaged, married. I never thought much of it because I didn't know about any of that until it was too late. George and I met at a mutual friend's barbecue. He was quiet, seemed a little guarded, but we talked for hours. He told me he was working on himself, going to therapy, staying sober. I didn't ask too many questions. We started dating and I fell hard. He was kind, patient, and he made me feel safe. He told me about his past 6 months in and I admired how open he was. He said meeting me made him want to change for real. I believed him because I saw it every day. Things got complicated when Ella found out. My brother had mentioned I was seeing someone, but he didn't know it was George at first. When Ella figured it out, she lost it. She started calling my mom, my other siblings, saying George was a manipulator, a drug addict, that he was grooming me. I was 25 when we got together, he was 36. That's not grooming, that's a 10-year age gap between two consenting adults. But she threw the word around like it was fact. She told my parents that George forced me to drink and do drugs. Complete lie. She said he was abusive. Never happened. She even claimed he tried to get me pregnant to trap me. We were careful and we both wanted kids, but not like that. Every time I saw her at family gatherings, she'd make snide comments. Still with the old man? Hope you have a prenup. I tried to ignore it, but it stung. David didn't know what to do. He loved Ella, but he also saw how she treated me. He'd pull me aside and apologize, saying she was jealous that George didn't want her and now he wanted me. I told him that wasn't my fault, but I could tell he felt stuck. The worst part was when George proposed. We were at this little cabin in the mountains, nothing fancy, just us. He got down on one knee and I said yes. It was the happiest moment of my life. I posted a picture of us with the ring on Instagram, and within an hour Ella had commented something passive-aggressive like hope it lasts longer than last time. I deleted the comment, but not before my mom saw it. That's when my parents started asking questions. A week later, my mom called me crying. She said Ella had sent her a long text saying George was still addicted to drugs and that I was covering for him. She even said George had stolen money from them when he dated Ella. None of it was true. George had been clean for over a year by then and he was making good money as a contractor. The only thing he stole from Ella was a spare phone charger, and that was an accident. I confronted Ella at a family dinner. I didn't scream, I just asked her why she was lying. She looked me straight in the eye and said, "I'm protecting you, you don't know what he's like, I do." I told her I knew him better than she ever did and that her obsession with him was creepy. She went quiet and then she left early. A few days later, David called me. He said Ella had gone through his phone and found out where George and I were planning to buy a house. She then tried to contact the realtor to say George had a criminal record. The realtor called George to ask about it, and that's how we found out. I was furious, George was furious, but we didn't want to make it worse. Then came the wedding plans. My mom wanted us to invite everyone, including Ella. I said no, George said no. We told my parents that if Ella came, we wouldn't. That sparked a huge argument. My dad tried to mediate, my sister took my side, and my brother was torn. Ella called me crying, saying I was destroying her marriage. I told her she was doing that herself. The final straw was at my niece's birthday party. Ella cornered me in the kitchen and said, "You think you're so special because he changed for you. He used to tell me he'd never get married, never have kids. You're just a placeholder." I told her that maybe he changed because I was the right person. She slapped me right there in front of my cousin's girlfriend. I didn't react. I just walked out and told my brother what happened. David was done. He told Ella he wanted a separation. She begged, she cried, she blamed me, but he had seen enough. My parents had seen enough. They decided that Ella was no longer welcome at family events until she apologized and got therapy. She refused. So now every holiday, every birthday, every gathering, she's not there. And I'm the one who caused it. Some days I feel guilty. She was my sister-in-law and I know she loved my brother. But the way she acted, that wasn't love, that was control. She didn't want George, but she didn't want him to be happy with anyone else, especially me. And I'm not going to apologize for living my life. George and I are getting married next spring. My brother will be there. My sister will be there. My parents will be there. Ella won't. And honestly, I'm okay with that. That was just one kind of betrayal. But I thought I'd seen it all until something happened with my best friend Sarah. We'd known each other since I was 11 years old. I moved to a new country with my family, no friends, no clue how to fit in. My sister-in-law introduced us and Sarah was the first person who made me feel like I belonged. We grew up together, went to the same schools, shared secrets, cried over boys, planned our futures. She was the maid of honor at my wedding. She was the one I called when my daughter was born. She was supposed to be my person. I'm 29 now, married to a man I met back in high school. My husband James is 31, steady, hardworking, runs his own small construction business. We have a 2-year-old daughter and life is busy but good. I work in an office from 9 to 2 most days and I take my lunch break around 11. Sometimes I walk the 5 minutes to James's office and we grab coffee at the cafe next door. It's our little routine. Sarah and I still talk almost every day. We have overlapping friend groups, but we each have our own circles too. I'll mention to her in passing if I have to travel for work. That's how this whole mess started. Last week, I was supposed to travel to another city for a work thing on Wednesday. But Tuesday night, a red alert came out about severe weather the next day. Flood warnings, the whole thing. My work trip got canceled. I stayed home Wednesday with my daughter. James went out at 6 in the morning to secure his business and put up flood barriers, but he was back by 7:30. We made pancakes together. It didn't even start raining until 1 in the afternoon. We stayed home all day Wednesday, all day Thursday, all day Friday, just us, the toddler, and a pile of laundry. On Saturday, I went to our usual gym class. Sarah was there acting a little off. Quiet, avoiding eye contact. I thought she was just tired, but after class, she pulled me aside and said we needed to talk in private. So we went out to my car parked in the lot. She looked at me with this really serious face and she said, "On Wednesday, I saw your husband with a woman. They were making out and your kid was in the car." I felt my blood run cold. For a second, my brain couldn't process it. Then the memory hit me like a truck. Wednesday, we were both home all day. My daughter was in the living room, not in any car. I asked Sarah, "Are you sure it was this Wednesday?" She said yes. 3 times I asked her and 3 times she confirmed it. "What time?" I asked. "About 11 in the morning." "During the red alert?" I said. She nodded. "Yes, it was raining. I saw them in the parking lot of the grocery store near your house." I asked if she was 100% sure and she launched into this whole detailed description. James was with a gorgeous blonde woman, a Barbie lookalike, and they were kissing in the back seat of his truck, and my daughter was in her car seat in the front. She described the clothes, the position, everything. She looked almost proud of herself. I didn't scream, I didn't cry, I just said, "That's impossible. I was home with James and my daughter all day Wednesday." Her face went white. She stammered, "What? No, I saw them." "Sarah, the trip was canceled. I texted you Thursday morning saying we were home safe. You asked me if I was back from my work trip and I said home safe. I was home safe, with my husband all day Wednesday." She just stared at me. I asked her again, "Why would you say that?" She started backpedaling. Maybe she saw them another day, maybe she got confused, but she had been so specific, so certain. I told her I had to go and I drove home shaking. I told James everything. He was furious. He wanted to call her right then, but I asked him to wait. I needed to think. I called my sister-in-law that night. She's known Sarah just as long as I have. She said, "That's weird. Has she been acting strange lately?" I thought back. Sarah had been a little distant for a few months. She'd cancel plans at the last minute. She'd make passive comments about how lucky I was that James helped so much with the baby. I didn't think much of it. A couple days later, I got a text from a mutual friend. Sarah had been telling other people the same story, saying she saw James cheating, saying I was in denial. I called her and asked her point blank, "Why are you telling people this? You know it's a lie." She started crying on the phone. She said she was worried about me. She said she thought I was being naive. She said James was too good to be true. Then she said something that really stuck with me. "I just wanted you to have more time for us, like before." I realized then, she was jealous, not of James, not of my marriage, she was jealous of my life. She wanted me single again so I'd have more time for her. More girls' nights, more trips, more of the old days. She thought if she could break us up, I'd go back to being the friend who was always available. I told James everything. He wanted to confront her in person, but I said no. I just cut her off, blocked her number, blocked her on social media. I didn't owe her an explanation. She knew what she did, but it didn't end there. Sarah started messaging my husband's friends, telling them the same lie. She found my mother-in-law's Facebook and sent her a message saying, "You should know your son is cheating." My mother-in-law called me crying and I had to explain the whole thing. She was horrified. I ended up filing a police report for harassment. The officer told me it was unlikely to go anywhere, but it would be on record if she escalated. I also changed the locks on our house. Not because I thought she'd break in, but because she had a spare key from when she used to pet sit for us. It's been 3 weeks now. I haven't spoken to her. I have a lot of mutual friends who are caught in the middle, but I've been clear, if they want to stay friends with her, that's their choice, but I don't want to hear about her. Most of them have sided with me. A couple of them said maybe she was just trying to protect you. I told them that protecting someone doesn't mean making up a story that could destroy their marriage. My husband and I are okay. We're stronger, actually. He's pissed, but he's more worried about me. I feel like I lost a friend I've had for 18 years, but I also feel lighter. Because if she could lie about that, what else would she have lied about? How many years of that friendship were even real? I still don't know why she did it, not fully. Maybe it's control, maybe it's envy, maybe she thought she was doing the right thing in a twisted way. But I don't need to understand, I just need to move on. But not all betrayals come from friends or in-laws. Sometimes they come from the person who was supposed to be there from the start. I was 13 when my dad walked out. My mom, my younger sister, and I were living in a small 3-bedroom house in the suburbs. Dad had been acting distant for months, working late, always on his phone, snapping at us for no reason. Then one night he sat us down at the kitchen table and said he was leaving. He met someone at work. Her name was Jane. He was moving in with her. I remember my mom crying. I remember my sister, who was 10, asking if he was coming back for Christmas. He said he'd try. That was the first time I realized adults can lie to your face. For the first year, we saw him every other weekend. He'd pick us up on Friday evenings and take us to his new apartment. Jane was always there, fake smile, offering us snacks. I hated it. I hated the way she touched his arm. I hated the way he talked about their plans. But I tried to make it work because he was still my dad. He came to my school plays. He helped me with my math homework. He wasn't perfect, but he was there. Then Jane got pregnant. When my half-brother was born, everything changed. The weekend visits got canceled last minute. He'd miss my sister's gymnastics competitions because the baby had a cold. I'd call him on his birthday and he'd be distracted, saying he'd call me back but never did. I told myself it was temporary, that babies are hard, that he'd come back around, but he didn't. When I was 16, Jane got a job offer in another state, 10 hours away. She wanted to move. My sister and I begged him not to go. I remember sitting in his living room, tears streaming down my face, saying, "You can't just leave us." He looked at me with this tired expression and said, "I need to prioritize my family." I stared at him. "We're your family." He shook his head. "You have your mom, my son needs me." That was the moment I stopped calling him dad. He was just a guy I used to know. He moved away and we went no contact. I blocked his number, his email, everything. My sister stayed in touch. She's always been more forgiving than me, but I was done. I didn't invite him to my high school graduation. I didn't tell him when I got accepted to college. I paid for my own tuition with scholarships and a part-time job. I didn't need him. Years passed. I got married, had kids of my own. I'm 33 now. Dad, I still can't call him that, and Jane moved back to our hometown 3 months ago. I don't know why. Maybe she got fired. Maybe they ran out of money. But suddenly he was everywhere. He started calling from different numbers. He sent letters to my house. He even showed up at my workplace, standing in the lobby with that same fake smile. "I want to reconcile," he said. "I've changed. I made mistakes. I want to be in your life." I told him no. I told him I didn't want to see him, that he made his choice 16 years ago. He didn't like that. Then my half-brother started messaging me on Facebook. He said his dad was really sad, that I was being cruel, that I should give him a chance. I didn't respond. He kept sending messages, guilt-tripping me, calling me selfish. I blocked him too, but it didn't stop. My dad started emailing me full paragraphs about how he loved me, how he was sorry, how I was breaking his heart. Then the tone shifted. He said I was being immature. He said I was holding a grudge over nothing. He said my mom had poisoned me against him. That's when I realized he hadn't changed at all. The final straw was last week. I came home from work and saw my patio furniture was smashed, flower pots broken, the word bitter spray painted on my garage door. I called the cops. They checked the neighbor's security cameras. It was him, my own father, vandalizing my house in the middle of the night. I filed a restraining order. The judge granted it. I haven't spoken to him since. My sister is caught in the middle. She thinks I'm being too harsh. She says he's old and lonely and just wants to make amends, but I don't care. He had 15 years to make amends. He chose to lie, manipulate, and destroy my property. That's not love, that's control. The court date for the vandalism is next month. He violates the restraining order, he'll go to jail. Part of me wishes he would. Part of me just wants him to disappear. My mom told me something after it all happened. She said, "You don't owe anyone a relationship just because they share your blood." She's right. My dad might be my biological father, but he's not family. Family doesn't break your things. Family doesn't leave you and then try to force their way back in. I'm done. I have my wife, my kids, my real family. That has to be enough. But sometimes I still catch myself wondering what it would be like if he had stayed, if he had chosen us. And then I remember the spray paint on my garage door, and I know exactly what kind of man he is. But not all betrayals come from friends or from fathers who walked out. Sometimes they come from the woman who married your brother. The one you thought would be your sister. My name is not important. I'm 27. My fiancé, George, is 38. My brother, David, is 35. And my sister-in-law, Ella, is 34. This is about her. I never thought I'd be in a situation where my own SIL would try to ruin my life over a man she dated 4 years ago. But here we are. 4 years ago, George dated Ella briefly, 6 months. It was a messy situation. George was in a bad place back then. He was partying, doing drugs, not reliable. Ella wanted to get married and have kids. George didn't want that with her. They broke up. It was dramatic. Ella was devastated that she couldn't make him settle down. Then within 6 months of that breakup, Ella met my brother David. They moved fast, got married about 7 months after they started dating. So within a little over a year of breaking up with George, Ella was married to my brother. I didn't think much of it at the time. I was just happy my brother found someone. Fast forward 2 years ago, I met George through mutual friends. I had no idea he was Ella's ex. None. He was a completely different person by then. He had quit drinking, quit drugs, been going to therapy for over a year. He was clean, focused, stable. He told me later that when he started feeling attracted to me, he realized he needed to get his life together for real. He wanted to be worthy of me. I was 25, he was 36. I didn't see a problem with the age gap. We were both adults, both in a good place. We started dating. It was amazing. He was attentive, caring, honest. He never hid his past from me. He told me about his struggles, his recovery. I was proud of him. Then Ella found out. I remember the day clearly. It was a Sunday afternoon in October. My brother David texted me saying Ella wanted to talk to me. I thought it was about a family gathering or something. Instead, she called me and her voice was ice cold. "You're dating George," she said, not a question. "Yeah, I am. How do you know him?" She didn't answer. She just said, "You need to break up with him. He's toxic. He's a drug addict. He's going to drag you down." I was stunned. I told her that wasn't true, that he had been sober for over a year, that he was in therapy, that he was a good man. She laughed. "You don't know him like I do. He's a manipulator. He's grooming you." I said, "I'm 25. I'm not a child." She said, "The age gap is disgusting. He's using you." I hung up. I was shaking. I told George everything. He looked sad, not angry. He said she wanted me to be someone I was. She couldn't accept that I didn't want a family with her. "When I met you, I wanted to change for real. She can't stand that." I believed him, but Ella didn't stop. She started spreading lies to my family. She told my mom that George was abusing me. She told my dad that George was trying to get me addicted to drugs. She told my cousins that George was a predator who specifically targeted younger women. She even said I was being manipulated because I had low self-esteem from my childhood. I started getting calls from relatives I hadn't spoken to in years, asking if I was okay. I had to explain over and over that I was fine, that George was a good partner, that Ella was lying. Some believed me, some didn't. My brother David was stuck in the middle. He loved Ella, but he also knew George from before. He told me privately that Ella had always been bitter about her breakup with George. He said she used to talk about how she fixed him and then he left her. But she hadn't fixed him, he fixed himself with me. Things got worse when George proposed to me. It was a simple proposal at our favorite restaurant. I said yes. I was over the moon. I told my brother first. He was happy for me. He said, "I'll tell Ella. She's going to be upset, but she'll get over it." She didn't get over it. The next day, I got a text from an unknown number. It was a photo of George from 4 years ago at a party looking high. The caption read, "This is who you're marrying, good luck." I knew it was Ella. I screenshotted everything and showed George. He was furious, but he told me not to engage, so I ignored it. Then she escalated. She started calling my workplace, pretending to be a concerned friend, telling my manager that I was in an abusive relationship and that they should watch out for me. My manager called me into her office and asked if I was safe. I had to explain the whole drama. She was sympathetic but told me to handle it. I confronted Ella at a family dinner. I said, "I know you've been spreading lies about George. I have proof. Why are you doing this?" She acted innocent. "I don't know what you're talking about. I'm just trying to protect you." I said, "You're jealous because he chose me. You couldn't make him commit and now he's marrying me. That's what this is about." She stood up. Her face went red. "You have no idea what he put me through. He ruined my life, and now you come along and get the fairy tale. It's not fair." My brother David looked at her with this shocked expression. He said, "Ella, what are you talking about?" She broke down crying. She admitted she had been sending the texts, calling my work. She said she just wanted me to see the real George, but she also said she loved my brother and didn't want to lose him. David didn't know what to do. He asked me what I wanted. I said, "I want her to stop. I want an apology, and I want her to stay away from me and George." Ella refused to apologize. She said I was overreacting, that I was the one ruining the family by marrying a loser. That was the last straw. My parents called a family meeting. They told Ella that if she couldn't respect my relationship, she wasn't welcome at family events. My brother had to choose. He chose his wife, but he also said he would not support her behavior. It's been 3 months since Ella was banned from family gatherings. My brother still talks to me, but it's strained. He says Ella is seeing a therapist. She sent me a long message last week saying she's sorry, but it felt like a copy-paste apology. I didn't respond. George and I are planning our wedding for next spring. We're happy, but I can't shake the feeling that Ella will try something again. She lost her ex to me, and now she's lost her place in the family. That kind of bitterness doesn't just disappear. I don't know if I'll ever forgive her. I don't know if I need to. Sometimes the people who are supposed to be your family are the ones who hurt you the most, and you have to protect yourself even if it means cutting them off. My mother said something to me after we banned Ella. She said, "You don't owe anyone access to your life just because they married into the family." She was right, but I still wonder what it would be like if Ella had just been happy for me. If she had let go of her past, if she had seen George as a changed man instead of a threat, I'll never know, and I think that's okay. It's funny how the people closest to you can turn on you for reasons you never see coming. That's exactly what happened next. I'm 29. I've known my best friend Sarah since I was 11. We met through my sister-in-law after my family moved to a new country. Sarah was my anchor through middle school, high school, college, all of it. We shared everything. I was the godmother to her first kid. She was my maid of honor. I trusted her with my life. I've been married to my husband for 4 years. We have a 2-year-old. We live in a small city where everything is a 15-minute drive. I work in an office from 9 to 2 with a half-hour break at 11. Sometimes I walk to my husband's office for a quick coffee. Sometimes I hit a cafe near my job. I tell Sarah about my schedule casually, the way you do with a best friend. She knows I sometimes have to travel for work to another city. Last week, I had a work trip planned for Wednesday. It was just a day meeting in a town about an hour away. I mentioned it to Sarah on Monday while we were texting about the weekend. No big deal. Tuesday night everything changed. The weather reports went crazy. Red alert for flooding. Torrential rain expected all day Wednesday. My boss canceled the trip by 10 p.m. I texted my husband and Sarah. Trip canceled, staying home. Wednesday morning my husband left at 6 to secure his business, flood barriers, moving stock, all that. I stayed in bed with our toddler. By 7:30 he was back. He made breakfast while I got the kid dressed. It didn't start raining until after 1 in the afternoon. We spent the whole day inside, playing with blocks, watching cartoons, taking a nap. It was boring and perfect. Thursday was the same, rain all day. Friday cleared up. Saturday morning I went to our gym class. Sarah was there. She seemed off, quiet, not making eye contact. I figured she was tired. After class she pulled me aside. We need to talk in private. We went to my car. I sat in the driver's seat. She sat in the passenger. She took a deep breath like she was about to deliver bad news. On Wednesday I saw your husband with a woman, she said. They were making out in his car. Your kid was in the back seat. I didn't scream, I didn't cry, I just sat there. My brain took a second to catch up. Wednesday, that was the day my husband made me pancakes. The day we built a blanket fort. The day he changed 3 poopy diapers while I napped. He was with me the entire day from 7:30 a.m. until we both passed out at 9 p.m. I asked, "Are you sure it was this Wednesday?" "Yes," she said. "Around 11 in the morning, during the red alert." I asked again. "You're absolutely sure it was Wednesday?" "Yes, I saw him with a blonde woman, they were kissing." I asked a third time. "And you're sure it was my husband?" She described him perfectly. The jacket he wears, the car, the kid's car seat. She even described the woman, tall, blonde, gorgeous like a Barbie doll. She said it happened near the grocery store in the parking lot. I knew then she was lying. Because on Wednesday at 11 a.m., I was sitting on the living room floor eating toast while my husband played peekaboo with our toddler. There was no blonde woman. There was no parking lot. I asked her why she was telling me this. She said she thought I deserved to know the truth. She said she was looking out for me. She said she wouldn't be able to live with herself if she kept it secret. I didn't confront her yet. I just thanked her for telling me and said I needed to process it. She hugged me. She looked relieved, like she'd done her good deed for the day. I drove home shaking. I told my husband everything. He was stunned. He said, "I don't even know any blonde women. I didn't leave the house. I was with you." I knew he was telling the truth. I called Sarah that afternoon. "Sarah, I need to ask you again. You saw my husband with another woman on Wednesday at 11 a.m. "Yes." "At the grocery store parking lot?" "Yes." "During the red weather alert, when it wasn't even raining until 1, she paused. "It was raining." "No," I said. "It was. The rain started at 1. I was home. I was with him all day." She went quiet. Then she said, "Maybe I mixed up the day. You confirmed it 3 times. You gave me a full description. You said you were sure." She started crying. "I don't know why I said that. I was trying to protect you. It must have been a different day." "A different day, you lied. You tried to convince me my husband was cheating while my kid was in the car." "Why?" She didn't answer. She just kept saying sorry over and over. I hung up. I blocked her number. I spent the next few days trying to figure out why. Why would my best friend of 18 years make up a story like that? We shared everything. She came to my wedding. She held my baby. She was supposed to be my person. I called my sister-in-law. She told me she'd heard Sarah had been talking about my husband for months, saying he was too good, too perfect, that something must be wrong. She was jealous. She wanted me to be miserable so I'd have more time for her. I didn't believe it at first, but then I remembered how she'd been acting lately. Flaky, distant, making comments about how I never go out anymore, how I'm always with my husband. I had just thought she missed our old life. I didn't realize she wanted to destroy my marriage. I haven't spoken to her in 2 weeks. She sent dozens of texts. Some are apologies. Some are angry, saying I'm overreacting, that it was just a mistake, that I'm ruining a friendship over nothing. A mistake. She tried to convince me my husband was cheating with a fake blonde woman during a flood. That's not a mistake. That's a calculated lie. My husband wants to pursue some kind of harassment complaint. I don't know if I want to do that. I just want her out of my life. I've told all our mutual friends the truth. Most of them believe me. Some don't. I've lost a few people, but you know what? I'd rather have no friends than a friend who wants to watch me burn. I keep replaying that moment in the car. The way she looked at me with fake concern. The way she described that imaginary scene. She wanted to hurt me so badly that she invented a whole memory, and she almost got away with it. Sometimes I wonder if she's done this before, if there were other lies I never caught. I'll never know, and I'm not sure I want to know. My mom always told me that when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. Well, Sarah showed me I believed her. But the people who hurt you aren't always friends. Sometimes they're family. My dad taught me that lesson from the time I was 13. I'm 33 now. I live in the same town I grew up in. My mom still lives in the house I grew up in. My sister lives 2 streets over with her husband and 2 kids. We're close. We had to be after everything. When I was 13, my dad had an affair. He didn't just have an affair. He left. He moved in with the other woman, Jane. I remember the morning he told me. I was sitting at the kitchen table eating cereal. He sat down across from me and said, "Your mother and I are getting a divorce. I'm moving out today." I didn't even finish my bowl. I just stared at him. He had bags under his eyes. He looked relieved. That was the worst part. For the first year, I visited every weekend. My sister and I would take the bus to his new apartment. Jane was there. She tried too hard. She bought us gifts. She made us food we didn't like. She called us her girls. I hated it, but my dad seemed happy. He took us to the park. He helped with homework. He was a good dad in those weekend windows. Then Jane got pregnant. My half-brother was born when I was 14. Suddenly, the weekend visits became every other weekend, then once a month, then whenever my dad had time. He missed my piano recital because his son had a fever. He missed my sister's soccer championship because Jane needed help with the baby. It was always something. When I was 16, Jane got a job offer in another state, 10 hours away. My sister and I begged him not to go. I cried. I said, please don't leave us. He just looked at me with a sad, tired face and said, I need to prioritize my family. I said, we're your family. He didn't answer. He moved 2 weeks later. That was the end for me. I went no contact. I deleted his number. I blocked him on social media. I told my mom and my sister I didn't want to hear about him ever again. My sister stayed in contact. She's softer than me. She still sent him birthday cards. She visited once a year. He came back for her high school graduation, but I refused to go. He came to my college graduation too. I told security not to let him in. He kept trying. Every few months I'd get a voicemail from a number I didn't recognize. Hey, it's your dad. I know you don't want to talk. I just want to say I love you. I miss you. Please call me back. I deleted them without listening to the whole thing. I didn't invite him to my wedding. I didn't tell him when my daughter was born. He found out through my sister and sent a gift. I gave it to Goodwill unopened. 3 months ago, my dad and Jane moved back to our hometown. I don't know why. My sister said Jane's job transferred her back, or maybe they just wanted to be close to family. I didn't care. I told my sister, he's dead to me. But he didn't stay dead. He started showing up. First it was letters. Long handwritten letters shoved in my mailbox. Apologizing, explaining, begging for a chance. I threw them away. Then he started calling my work line. I told my boss to block his number. Then he started coming to my house. The first time I saw him standing on my front porch, I almost dropped my keys. He looked old, gray hair, wrinkles. He held out his hands and said, please just give me 5 minutes. I closed the door in his face. I called the cops. The cop told me there wasn't much they could do unless he threatened me, so I filed a harassment report. That did nothing. He kept coming. Then the messages started coming from my half-brother. Luke, he's 19 now. I've never met him. I've seen pictures on my sister's phone. He looks like my dad. He messaged me on Facebook. Hey, I'm your brother. I know we've never talked, but our dad is really sick. He's been diagnosed with something serious. He wants to see you before it's too late. Please just come to the hospital. I'll be there too. I didn't respond. I blocked him. I know that sounds cold, but I've heard this before. Every few years there's a crisis, a health scare, a family emergency, a last chance. I'm not falling for it again. My sister called me crying. She said, he's really sick this time. The doctors aren't sure he'll make it. You're going to regret this. I said, I regret the 13 years he spent not being my dad. I regret every birthday he forgot. I regret every time he chose them over us. I don't regret protecting myself. She didn't call back after that. Last week I came home from work and found a package on my doorstep. It was a photo album, pictures of me as a baby, pictures of him holding me, pictures of our family before Jane. There was a note inside, I know I don't deserve you. But I want you to know I've always loved you. You were my first child. You taught me how to be a father. I failed you. I'm sorry. If you ever want to talk, I'll be here. Love, Dad. I took the album inside. I looked at every picture. I cried for the first time in years. Then I put the album in my garage. I haven't touched it since. I don't know if I'll ever talk to him. Maybe I will when he's on his deathbed. Maybe I won't. I don't owe him closure. I don't owe him forgiveness. He chose Jane. He chose his son. He chose a new life. I was just the old one he threw away. And that's okay. I have my own family now, a husband who loves me, a daughter who thinks I'm the best thing in the world. I'm not going to let my dad's guilt ruin that. But I'll tell you one thing, I never expected to feel this much pain after all these years. I thought I was over it. I thought I was done. Then that photo album showed up and I realized I'm still that 13-year-old girl sitting at the kitchen table watching her dad walk out the door. Some wounds don't heal, you just learn to carry them, but not all the drama came from friends or fathers. Sometimes it walked right into your life wearing a wedding ring and a fake smile. That's what happened with my sister-in-law. I'm 27 and I'm engaged to the best man I've ever known. His name is George, he's 38. And yes, I know the age gap looks weird on paper, but let me tell you the whole story before you judge. 4 years ago, George dated a woman named Ella. It was a short thing, 6 months. She wanted marriage and kids. He wasn't there yet. He was going through a rough patch, partying, doing drugs, being unreliable. He wasn't the kind of guy you settle down with, and Ella couldn't change him, so they broke up. It ended badly. She was bitter. Then she met my older brother, David. They moved fast. 6 or 7 months after her breakup with George, she and David were married. So within about a year and a couple months, she went from dating George to being my brother's wife. That's how fast it happened. I didn't know any of this when I first met George. That was 2 years ago. We met through mutual friends. He was older, but he was kind. He was working on himself. He told me early on that he had a past, that he'd been clean for a while, that he was in therapy. I admired that. I didn't care about his past. I cared about who he was becoming, and George became a different person. He quit drinking. He quit drugs. He went to therapy every week. He started taking care of himself. He told me later that meeting me made him want to be better. That's not something you hear every day. I believed him. We started dating. It was slow at first. He was careful. He didn't want to rush me. We took walks, had dinners, talked for hours. After about 6 months, we made it official. I was happy. He was happy. Then the bomb dropped. I brought George to a family barbecue. My brother David was there with Ella. As soon as Ella saw George, her face went white. He pulled David aside and whispered something. Then she came back with this fake smile and said, "Oh, I didn't realize you two were together." That was the first time I saw her mask crack. Later that night, David called me. He said, "Hey, did you know that George used to date Ella?" I almost dropped my phone. What? No, she never said anything. Well, she told me she's pretty upset about it. I didn't think much of it at first. I mean, so what? They dated 4 years ago. It was a short thing. He was a different person then. She was married to my brother now. Why would it matter? But it mattered to Ella. She started calling me, leaving voicemails, texting. At first it was sweet, like, "I just want to make sure you know what you're getting into." Then it turned nasty. "He used to do cocaine. He's going to ruin your life. He's just using you to get back at me." I didn't believe her. I knew George. I saw him change. I saw him go to meetings, do the work, be vulnerable. He wasn't the same guy she dated, so I ignored her. But she didn't stop. She started spreading lies to our family. She told everyone that George was grooming me. I was 25 when we got together. He was 36. That's an 11-year gap. But grooming? No, that's not what grooming is. I was a grown woman. He wasn't manipulating me. He was supporting me, but Ella didn't care about facts. She told my mom that George was abusing me. She said he was trying to turn me into an addict. She said he had hidden cameras in our apartment. She said he was controlling my money. All lies, every single one. My mom called me crying. Is it true? Is he hurting you? I had to calm her down. Mom, no, he's the most gentle person I know. He makes me lunch. He drives me to work. He holds me when I cry. Ella is lying. My mom believed me, but some of my aunts didn't. They started looking at me sideways at family events, whispering, avoiding George. I was furious. I wanted to confront Ella, but David asked me to let it go. "She's just jealous," he said. "She'll get over it." But she didn't. Then George proposed. He took me to the place where we had our first date, a little Italian restaurant downtown. He got down on one knee in the middle of the dining room. I said yes. We were both crying. It was perfect. We told our families the next day. My mom was thrilled. David was happy for me, but Ella, she didn't say a word. She just stared at my ring like it was a snake. That night, she sent me a long text. It said, "You think you've won, but you're just a rebound. He never loved me because he can't love anyone. He's broken, and when he breaks you, don't come crying to me." I screenshot it and sent it to David. He didn't respond for hours. Then he called me, his voice tired. "I'm sorry, she's been losing it lately. She's been saying things about you too. I don't know what to do." I told him, "You need to handle her, because if she keeps this up, I'm going to have to cut contact." He said he would talk to her. He did talk to her, and she lost it. She went to my mom and said that George had gotten a stripper pregnant. She said she had proof. My mom asked to see the proof. Ella said it was too graphic to show. My mom didn't believe her. Then Ella tried to get my dad involved. She told him that George had a criminal record. My dad actually ran a background check. Nothing came up. George was clean. At that point, my parents had had enough. They called a family meeting. Everyone was there. My parents, David, Ella, me, George. My dad said, "Ella, we love you, your family, but you cannot keep making up lies about George. It's hurting our daughter. It's hurting our family. If this doesn't stop, you can't come to family events anymore." Ella started crying. She said she was just trying to protect me. She said she had seen George do terrible things. She said I was being brainwashed. I stood up. I said, "You are done. You are not going to ruin my relationship because you couldn't keep him. He didn't want you. He wants me, and that's something you're going to have to live with." She looked at me like I had slapped her. She turned to David. "Are you going to let her talk to me like that?" David didn't say anything. He just looked at the floor. My mom said, "Ella, please leave." Ella left. She didn't come to the next family dinner or the one after that. David came alone. He looked miserable. He said Ella was refusing to apologize. She was saying that we were all against her. She was threatening to divorce him. I felt bad for David, but I wasn't going to sacrifice my peace for her feelings. A month later, we got a letter from Ella's lawyer. It said she was suing George for defamation. For telling people she was a liar. The irony was incredible. George hadn't said a word about her to anyone outside the family. I was the one who told people, but she couldn't sue me without suing her own husband's sister. The lawyer sent a demand for a public apology. George laughed. He threw the letter in the trash. The lawsuit never went anywhere, but the damage was done. David stopped talking to me for a while. He said I had ruined his marriage. I told him no. Ella ruined her own marriage with her lies. Eventually, David came around. He and Ella separated for 6 months. Then they got back together. I guess he forgave her. I don't know how, but I made it clear that she was not welcome at my wedding. My mom backed me up. She told David, "Your sister's wedding is not the place for drama. Ella is not invited." David didn't come to the wedding. He said he couldn't come without his wife. That hurt, but I understood. He was stuck between us. I just wished he had chosen me. The wedding was beautiful. George looked at me like I was the only person in the world. We danced, we laughed, we cried. My mom gave a speech about second chances. My dad walked me down the aisle. It was perfect. Ella wasn't there and I didn't miss her. Now it's been almost a year. George and I are married. We have a little apartment with a garden. He still goes to therapy. He still works his program. He's the best husband I could have imagined. Ella still sends me messages every few months. On my birthday, she sent a card that said, "I hope you find peace." I threw it away. On Christmas, she sent a text, "Merry Christmas, I forgive you." I blocked her number. David and I talk occasionally. He's still with her, he says she's changed, I don't believe it, but it's his life. I'm not going to fight that battle anymore. Sometimes I think about the lies she told, how easily she could have destroyed my relationship. If I hadn't known George so well, if I had been more insecure, if I had believed her, we wouldn't be here. I would have left him. I would have lost the love of my life, but I didn't. I trusted what I knew. And what I knew was that George was a good man, a changed man, a man who chose me. Ella couldn't stand that. She couldn't accept that he changed for someone else, but not for her. That's not my problem, that's hers. I don't hate her, I just don't want her in my life, and that's okay. You don't have to hate someone to set boundaries, you just have to be willing to walk away. I think about what my dad always says, blood doesn't make you family, loyalty does, trust does, love does, and Ella had none of that for me, so I moved on, I built a life with my husband, I'm happy, and I don't look back. The lies still echo sometimes. The accusations, the whispers at family parties, but I have a secret weapon, I know the truth, and the truth is louder than any lie. There's another story that comes to mind, one that shows how sometimes the people closest to you are the ones who try to tear you down the hardest. It happened to me a few months ago, and I still don't fully understand why. I met my best friend Sarah when I was 11 years old. My family had just moved to a new country, everything was unfamiliar, and my sister-in-law introduced us. We hit it off immediately. We went through school together, shared secrets, had sleepovers, fought, made up. She was at my wedding. She held my hand when I gave birth to my daughter. I trusted her with my life. Now I'm 29, married to a man I've known since I was 11 too. We grew up together, him and me and Sarah. We were a trio, but somewhere along the way, Sarah decided she wanted to break us apart. It started on a Wednesday. I had a work trip planned, but Tuesday night there was a red alert about the weather, heavy flooding expected. My company canceled the trip, so I stayed home with my 2-year-old. My husband left at 6 in the morning to make sure his business was secure, put up flood protection, then came back by 7:30. We made breakfast together. It didn't even start raining until 1 in the afternoon. Wednesday was uneventful. We played with our daughter, watched cartoons, ordered pizza for lunch. My husband worked on his laptop while I napped on the couch. It was boring, it was normal. It was exactly what a Wednesday should be. Then at 3 in the afternoon, Sarah sent me a text. Are you home already? I heard it's flooding where you were supposed to be. I texted back, home safe, never even left, trip got canceled. She replied with a thumbs up. I didn't think anything of it. Saturday came, we went to our usual gym class together. Afterward, she pulled me aside. Her face was pale, her hands were shaking. She said, we need to talk, in private. We went to my car. She sat in the passenger seat and took a deep breath. Then she said, on Wednesday, I saw your husband with a woman. They were making out in his car. Your daughter was in the back seat. I froze, my heart stopped, I felt the blood drain from my face. For a second I believed her, that's how convincing she was. She looked so scared, so serious, so certain. But then I remembered I was home, my husband was home, my daughter was home, we never left, it didn't happen. I asked her 3 times. Are you sure it was this Wednesday? Yes, she said each time. What time? About 11 in the morning. I asked, was it during the red alert when the rain was supposed to be bad? Yes, she said. She even added details. She described my husband kissing a blonde woman. She said the woman was gorgeous, like a Barbie doll. She said my daughter was in her car seat in the back and my husband didn't care that she was watching. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just looked at her and said, Sarah, I was home all day Wednesday. He was home too. We were together the entire time. He never left. She blinked. She didn't say anything at first. Then she said, maybe it was Tuesday. It wasn't Tuesday, it was Wednesday. You said Wednesday. She started backtracking. Maybe I got the day wrong. Maybe it was last week. It wasn't last week. It was this week. You said this week. She couldn't keep her story straight. She started crying. She said she was just trying to protect me. She said she saw what she saw. She said maybe it was someone who looked like him. I told her to go home. I drove home in silence. My husband was making dinner. He asked how Jim was. I didn't tell him. I just hugged our daughter and tried to understand. I stayed up that night thinking about it. Why would she do this? She was my best friend. She was at my wedding. She watched me fall in love. She knew how happy I was. I called her the next day. I said, Sarah, I need you to tell me the truth. Why did you lie? She said she didn't lie. She said she was mistaken. I said, you described it perfectly. You sounded certain. That wasn't a mistake. That was a story. She hung up on me. I told my husband. He was shocked. He said, why would she make that up? I didn't have an answer. I confronted her one last time. I went to her apartment. She opened the door and I said, I want the truth. She broke down. She said she was jealous. She said she was lonely. She said she thought if I left my husband, we'd spend more time together. She wanted to travel with me, go out, be single again. She wanted her best friend back. She wanted me to leave my husband and my daughter for her. I walked away. I blocked her number. I haven't spoken to her since. Sometimes I still get angry, but mostly I feel sad. She was my friend for 18 years. And she threw it away because she couldn't handle me being happy. So I moved on. I have my husband. I have my daughter. I have my peace. And that's more than I could ever get from her.